We continue now at the top of Daf Tzadiyam and Beis Mesechet Sanhedrin. This is Sanhedrin Daf 90b. And the previous summit, the Gemara was looking for the source for Midah Keneged Midah, measure for measure. And the Gemara is in the middle of bringing a source from the story of Elisha and Sefer Malachim, where there was an officer who dismissed Elisha's prophecy, and then Uchsiv, and then it's written in the pasuk Vayihi lo chein that this is exactly what happened to him. Vayirmesu oso ha'am b'shar vayamos, and he was trampled by the gate, and he died. And so that was the Midah Keneged Midah. And Rashi explains, meaning in exactly the thing that he denied, that's what he was judged. That he didn't eat from there, and he got trampled by the people who were coming to purchase. Again, the prophecy had to do with the prices, with the shar, and so therefore that was the Midah Keneged Midah. But the Gemara continues, V'dilma kilalas Elisha garmale, but maybe it was the curse of Elisha that really caused this. Maybe it wasn't because of Midah Keneged Midah. Rav Yehuda Marav, because Rav Yehuda says that Rav says kilalas chacham afilo al chinam hiba. When it comes to the curse of a chacham, of a Talmud chacham, that comes true even if it's for nothing. It's going to be fulfilled. And the Gemara answers to that. Imkain, if so, if that was the case, that it was because of the klala lichtov krav vayirmesu vayamos, it should have just said that they trampled him and he died. My bashar. Why does it say the word bashar by the gate? Al iske shar. It's because of what had to do with the gate. Again, it had to do with the pricings in the marketplace, and that's why again this happened. Midah Keneged Midah. And the Gemara continues, Minayin l'tchias hamesim in haTorah. From where do we know tchias hamesim, that the dead will come back to life? From where do we know that in the Torah? Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, "Unesatem imenu es trumas Hashem li'Aaron haKohen." It says you're going to give the truma to Aaron. V'chi Aaron li'olam kayim, but did Aaron live forever? V'alo lo nichnas l'Eretz Yisrael. He didn't even enter Eretz Yisrael. Shenos and lo truma, that they would be able to give him truma. He wasn't alive at the time that truma was going to be given. Ella, rather, what does the pasuk mean to teach? Melami, it teaches us she'asid lichios, that in the future he will come back to life. V'Yisrael nos and lo truma, and then Yisrael, Klal Yisrael, will give him truma. Mikan l'tchias hamesim in haTorah. From here we know to tchias hamesim from the Torah. And the Gemara continues, Devei Rabbi Yishmael Tan, in the yeshiva Rabbi Yishmael taught. What does this pasuk actually mean? It means li'Aaron, to Aaron, ke Aaron. What it means is to give to somebody like Aaron. Ma Aaron chaver, just like Aaron was a chaver, he was somebody who was a scholar, who was meticulous in keeping the mitzvahs. Af banav chaverim, so too when you give to banav, when you give to the children of Aaron, that's what it means. It means you should only give to kohanim who are chaverim. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani, Amar Rabbi Yonasan. Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani says that Rabbi Yonasan says, Minayin shein nosten truma l'kohen ha'ma'aretz. From where do we know that we don't give truma to a kohen who's an ha'ma'aretz? Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, there's a pasuk in Divrei Hayamim. It says, Vayomer la'am layoshvei Yerushalayim loseis minos hakohanim v'halavim laman yechezku b'toras Hashem. It says you're going to give the portion, and we understand from the end of the pasuk which says laman yechezku b'toras Hashem, they should strengthen the Torah of Hashem, kol ha'machzik b'toras Hashem. Anybody who strengthens the Torah of Hashem, yesh lo minos, he gets a portion. V'she'eino machzik b'toras Hashem, but one who does not strengthen in the Torah of Hashem, ein lo minos, he doesn't get a portion. Amar Rav Acha barado, Amar Rav Yehuda, Rav Acha barado says that Rav Yehuda says, kol hanosen truma l'kohen ha'ma'aretz, anybody who gives truma to a kohen who's an ha'ma'aretz, ki'ilu nosna lifnei ari, it's like giving it in front of a lion. Ma ari safek dores va'ochel safek eino dores va'ochel, just like by a lion, there's a doubt whether he's going to maul and then eat, and there's a doubt maybe he won't maul and eat. Af kohen am ha'aretz, so too when it comes to a kohen that's an am ha'aretz, safek ochla b'tahara, there's a doubt when he's an am ha'aretz whether he'll eat it in purity, or safek ochla b'tamar, maybe he'll eat it when he's tameh, when he is impure. And the Gemara continues, Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan says, Af gorim lo misa, this even causes him death. Shenemar, as it says, Umesu bo ki yechalalu, that if they profane it, then they die. Tvei Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov taught in the yeshiva Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov was taught, Af masio, avon ashma, also gives him a sin of guilt. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, V'isiu osam avon ashma, bi'achlam es kodsheim. It talks about this avon ashma. Again, it has to be, by truma, a person has to be careful to eat it in purity. And the Gemara continues, Tanya, we learned in a Braisa, Rabbi Simoi Omer, Rabbi Simoi says, Minayin l'tchias hamesim in haTorah. From where do we know tchias hamesim? From the Torah, Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, V'gam hakimosias brisi itam loseis lohem es eretz Canaan. It says he's going to give to them eretz Canaan. Lochem lo nemar, it doesn't say to you, elo lohem, but it says to them, Mikan l'tchias hamesim in haTorah. From here we learn tchias hamesim from the Torah. And Rashi explains, Ela lahem to them, Demashma shevtiach HaKadosh Baruch Hu lavoseinu, Avram, Yitzchak, v'Yakov, she'itein lahem Eretz Yisrael. The pasuk implies that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is promising our fathers, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, to give them Eretz Yisrael. V'chi lahem nitna, now was it given to them? V'halo livneim nitna, it's given to their children. Ela malamed shasidin lichios, rather it teaches that in the future they're going to come back to life. V'yasad HaKadosh Baruch Hu litein lahem as Eretz Yisrael, and in the future HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give them Eretz Yisrael. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. Shalu minines Rabban Gamliel. The heretics asked Rabban Gamliel the following question: Minayin shakadosh baruch hu mechayim mesim. From where do we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings the dead back to life? Amar lahem, he said to them, min haTorah, min haNeviim, umin haKsuvim. We know it from the Torah, from the Neviim, and from the Ksuvim. Velo kiblu mimenu, but they did not accept it from him. They didn't accept these responses. Min haTorah, from the Torah, dichsiv, because it's written in the Torah. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe. Hashem said to Moshe, Chashochi v'mavosecho v'kom. It says you're going to lay with your fathers, v'kom, and you will get up. So it's a reference to Tchias HaMesim. Amru lo, they said to him, maybe that's not the interpretation of the pasuk. V'dilma, maybe what the pasuk actually, the way it's supposed to be read, is v'kom ha'am hazeh v'zana, that you read the word v'kom going on the next part of the pasuk, that the nation will go astray. So they did not accept that as a proof for Tchias HaMesim. And min haNeviim, from the prophets, tichsiv, because it's written in the pasuk, and this is the pasuk in Yeshayahu, Yichyu Mesecha, your dead will come to life, Nevelasi Yekumun Hakitzu V'ranu Shochnei Afar, those who are in the dirt will wake up, Kitaloros Talecha V'eretz V'oretz Refaim Tapil, and so this is a reference to Tchias HaMesim, and it's from the Nevi'im, it's from Yeshayahu, but the Gemara says V'dilma, but maybe Mesim Shehechya Yecheskel, maybe that's not a reference to Tchias HaMesim that will be in the future, but it's a reference to the Tchias HaMesim of Yecheskel, and Min HaKsuvim, and then he brought a proof from the Ksuvim, Dichsiv, because it's written in the pasuk in Shir Hashirim, V'chikech kiyein hatov, holech ledodi lemesharim dovev sifsei yishenim. It talks about those who are sleeping, that their lips are moving, so it sounds like Tchias HaMesim. But again, the Gemara says V'dilma, but maybe rechushe merachshan sifavase bialma. It's just a moving of their lips. Maybe it's not a reference to a real Tchias HaMesim. Rabbi Yochanan, and that would follow Rabbi Yochanan. The Yom Rabbi Yochanan mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yotzadok, because Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of Rabbi Shimon ben Yotzadok, Kol misha nemra halacha b'shmo ba'olam hazeh. Anybody who halacha said in his name in this world, sifsosav dovavos bekever, so his lips, they move in the grave. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, this is the pasuk we just quoted, dovev sifsei yishenim. And finally, the Gemara says, At she'amar lahem mikrazeh, until Rabbi Gamliel said to them, to the minim, he said the following pasuk, Asher nishba Hashem la'avosechem laseis lahem, same pasuk we brought above, to give it to them, to give them Eretz Yisrael, the avos. Lachem lo nemar doesn't say to you, ela lahem, it says to them. Mikan l'tchias hamesim in Torah. From here we see Tchias HaMesim from the Torah. V'yesh omrim, and some say min hamikra hazeh amar lahem, that he said it from the following pasuk is what he said to them. V'yatem hadveikim b'Hashem Elokechem chayim kulchem hayom, and we learn from this pasuk of chayim kulchem hayom, mahayom kulchem kayom, and just like today you're all here alive, aflo olam haba, so too in the world to come, kulchem kayom, and you will all be alive. That's a reference to Tchias HaMesim. And the Gemara continues, Shalu Romiyim es Rabbi Yoshua ben Chananya, the Romans, they asked Rabbi Yoshua ben Chananya the following question, Minayin sha'HaKadosh Baruch Hu mechayim mesim. From where do we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings the dead back to life? V'yodeya mashas lios, and also that he knows what's going to happen in the future. Amar Lu, so he said to them, Tarvayu min hamikra hazeh, both things can be learned from this pasuk, from the following pasuk. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, Hashem said to Moshe, Hin chashochi v'mavosecho v'kam ha'am hazeh v'zana. It says you are going to lay with your fathers, v'kam, and you'll get back up. That's a reference to Tchias HaMesim. And then also that the people are going to go astray. That's an idea that HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows the future. But the Gemara says, V'dilma, but maybe v'kam ha'am hazeh v'zana, maybe the word v'kam goes on the second part of the pasuk, and it's referring to the fact that the people will go astray, but there is no reference to Tchias HaMesim over here. And so the Gemara says, Amar Lahu, he said to them, Nekotu miya palga biyadaicha, well, at least you can have a proof to half of what you asked from this pasuk, Diyodeya masha asad lios, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows what will be in the future. And the Gemara continues, Itmar Nami was stated as well, Amar Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, Rabbi Yochanan says in the name of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Minayin sha'HaKadosh Baruch Hu mechayim mesim, from where do we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings the dead back to life, Yodeh Mashas Elios, and knows what will be in the future, Shenamar, that it says in the Pasuk, again the same Pasuk, in Chashochi v'mavosecha v'kam, the Pasuk is a reference to v'kam, that he'll be brought back to life, and also that in the future the nation will go astray. And the Gemara continues, Tanya, we learned in a Bryce, Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Yossi says, B'dover zeh ziyafti sifrei minim, in the following way, I falsified the books of the heretics. Shahayu omrim ein tchias hamesim min haTorah, because they would say that there's no tchias hamesim from the Torah. Amarti lahen, so I said to them, Zayaftem Toraschem, you falsified your Torah. V'lo halisem bi'edchem klum, and nothing has come from what you are saying. Shatem omrim ein tchias hamesim min haTorah, because you're saying there's no tchias hamesim from the Torah. Hareyu omer, but it says in the pasuk, Hikares tikares hanefesh ahi avona ba. It talks about kares to the soul getting cut off. How do you interpret that pasuk? Hikares tikares ba'olam hazeh. Hikares tikares is in this world, and avona ba, and then the sin is within it. La'emas, what is that talking about? Lav la'olam haba, isn't that talking about olam haba? It must be a reference to olam haba. That's a reference to tchias hamesim. And the Gemara continues, Amar le Rapapa li Abaye, Rapapa said to Abaye, V'lei maluhu tarvayu me kares tikares. But why didn't he say to them that both can be learned from hikares tikares? Because hikares tikares is a double language, one for olam hazeh and one for olam haba. And the Gemara says to that, Inu hava amrile, if he would have said that, they would have said to him, Dibra Torah kaloshin b'nei adam, that the pasuk just speaks the way that people talk. It's not something that you can darshan from, that extra word when it says hikares and then tikares, because that's a normal way for people to speak, and there's nothing to darshan from that. And the Gemara continues, Kitanoi, let us say that this is a machlokas tanoim, hikares, tikares bo'olam hazeh, tikares lo'olam haba, divrei Rabbi Akiva. It says hikares means in this world, tikares means in the world to come. That's the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. Amar lo Rabbi Shmuel says to him, he says to Rabbi Akiva, V'alo kvar nemar as Hashem hu megadef v'nichrasa, but it already says, v'nichrasa, it says a third time that there's kares. V'chi shlosha olamim yeshar, there are three worlds, how do you interpret it three times? Ela v'nichrasa bo'olam hazeh. Rather, the word v'nichrasa means in this world, hikares le'olam haba, the word hikares means in the world to come, and hikares tikares, the fact that it says a double language of hikares tikares, that's just dibra Torah kalashim b'nei adam, that's just the Torah speaking like the way that people talk. And the Gemara says, Bein Rabbi Shmuel uvein Rabbi Akiva, but whether you're following Rabbi Shmuel or Rabbi Akiva, avona ba ma'yavdi. What do we do with the pasuk that says avona ba? And the Gemara says, l'chidetanya, that's for the following brisa. Yachol afilu asa tshuva, it says in the brisa, I might think even if a person does teshuva, he gets this punishment. Talmud lomar avona ba, the pasuk says avona ba, which means lo amarti ela bizman she'avona ba. This is only true when the sin remains, but when the sin is taken care of through teshuva, so then this punishment is not relevant. And the Gemara continues, Shala Cleopatra Malchus Rabbi Meir, Queen Cleopatra, she asked Rabbi Meir the following question. Amra, she said, Yodana dechai shechve, I know that the dead will come back to life. Techsiv, because it's written in the pasuk in Tehillim, v'yatzitzu me'ir ka'esav ha'aretz, that they're going to blossom from the city like the grass of the earth. Ela kashein omdin, but my question is as follows, when they get up, omdin arumin, are they going to get up naked? O biluvushein omdin, are they going to stand up and they're going to have their clothing on? Amar Loi said to her, Kal v'chomer mechita, we can make a kal v'chomer from wheat. Umachita shenikbera aruma, just like wheat, it's buried naked. Yotza bekam levushim, but when it comes out, it has many garments. It's surrounded by chaff, etc. Tzadikim, so when it comes to the righteous, shenikborim bilevushay, and when they're buried with their clothing. Alachas kama v'kama, so certainly when they stand up, by tchias hamesim, they will have their clothing on. And the Gemara continues, the Caesar said to Rabbi Gamliel, Amrisu de chai, you say that the living will come back to, that the dead will come back to life. Hahave afra, but the question is, aren't they just like dust? V'afra mikachai, can dust come to life? And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Tzadi Aleph Amud Aleph.